We want to look at the relationship between the head, neck and back, because in this work, one of our key organizing principles is something that they call it the primary control, but we don't need to worry about the jargon. It's basically the nodding joint, or if you're anatomical, it's the atlanto-occipital joint. It's the bit where your top of spine meets your skull. And for various reasons, which we won't go into now because there's multiple reasons, human beings have a habit of pulling that skull back and down onto their heads. And sometimes we can see that as that sort of posture develops, as that body use pattern develops, because then they kind of lose their neck. And I can't remember who it is, but there's some interviewer bloke on the telly. And every time I look at him, I think, God, your neck's disappeared. And he's just like, it kind of really works well on screen. Anyway, so we don't want to lose our neck. Yeah, so we're going to look at this idea of unlocking this nodding joint. And it really is a freeing of the neck. And in the Alexander technique, we use this phrase a lot. We say, let the neck be free, or can you release your neck? And actually, that's a really simplistic phrase for something that's very complicated. So we have these, big neck muscles coming down here. We've got some really powerful ones at the back here. But also, we've got more complicated stuff going on inside. We've got the jaw area here, that sort of jawbone, that connection in there. So if your pattern of use is that you, if I go sideways, so if your pattern of use is that you pull the jaw back and up, you're not going to be able to find that freedom. That nodding joint isn't going to be a balance, a poise. And I'm going to be really clear here, I hope, because we don't want the neck going forwards. So when an Alexander teacher talks about the head going forward, they are talking about a pivot. It is an absolutely tiny little movement that's available on that top of spine and the rockers of your skull. Any more, and now that's my neck. So now I'm looking down and that's fine. Sometimes you have to, or I'm looking up. So the actual nodding joint itself is a tiny amount of degrees. I can't remember how many. So and our goal as Alexander studiers, masters, whatever we are, our goal is to release that, have that availability for freedom of movement without spending our life going, oh, is my neck free? Oh, I don't know. We don't want to be nodding our heads all the time. We are not the dog on the back shelf of the car. We want to be thinking it. We want to have the intention of it. And what we will look at a little bit as well in this class is that when we get this releasing happening up here, when the neck releases, allowing the head to fall forwards in its sort of almost a nod idea, something down the bottom of your spine releases. So we have these two areas, the top of the spine and down in the base of the spine, which are really connected. And so if your habit is to tighten the neck muscles and lock and hold, then you are doing that down in your base as well. There is something not happy then down in that very lower sort of front of lower spine and all of that pelvic area as well.